Good evening, world. Welcome to Juice World Podcast, episode 53. I pray y'all had a blessed week out there this week. Let me get y'all straight. TikTok, let me get y'all straight. Okay, that's better. I pray y'all had a blessed week out there this week. This is episode 53, y'all. Episode 53. Episode 53 is about isolation, the place where you remember yourself. Isolation, the place where you remember yourself. So when you think about isolation, me speaking personally on isolation didn't change me. Isolation helped me remember who I am. I'm going to explain what I mean by that. People think isolation means something is wrong with you. Like you isolate, something must be really going wrong, something must be bad. Like, no, isolation isn't that. Society tells us isolation means when you isolate that you're lonely. Who said that, Chad? Did nobody say that? Isolation doesn't mean that you're lonely. But sometimes isolation is basically the environment where you get healing from. Isolation is basically where you heal from. That's where the healing happens. You can't heal in a toxic situation. You can't heal in I'm just gonna say a bad situation, period, across the board. Toxic. Toxic covers everything. I'm gonna say toxic abuse, whether it's verbal or physical, emotional, spiritual. Like you can't heal in those environments. For one, your nervous system is basically supposed to be a protector. Your nervous system protects you. Think about when you go through something traumatic. Normally, that traumatic thing gets pushed to the back of your mind and you focus on leveling up and doing better, right? So while that's going on, when you think about it, that place, nervous system heals also. So you're not going to be able to heal until you get out of that protective and survival mode, right? So the only way you can do that is quiet the noise around you. Isolation isn't preparation. Isolation is more like, isolation isn't punishment. Isolation is more like preparation. You're preparing for that next level. You're counting all your wins, you're counting all your losses, you're looking at the things that you need to improve on, and you constantly keep growing. You constantly keep growing. You constantly keep growing. It's preparation for the next level. That's what it is. And you think about it, you're not lonely when you get into that quiet environment of isolation. It's going to feel that way. It's going to perceive that way because you're used to always something toxic. You used to always being on guard. You don't know what peace feels like. Peace feels boring. It's quiet. It's relaxing. But it's also loud because it's loud in here and in here. And you're cycling back through your life. And that's when the nervous system allows you to heal. Because you have to heal before you go to the next level. I know a lot of people don't want to feel like they're going through anything, that they feel like isolation is frowned upon, and they want to look like they're going through something, but you have to be honest with yourself. We all have to heal from the past things we went through, no matter how big, no matter how minute, you have to heal. There's no other way around it. That's the only way you can level up. That's the only way you can be go to the next level or escape from a toxic situation. You have to make that decision because you're never ready to take that leap on this journey. Ready is when you make that decision. Ready is not an emotion, it's a decision. And that's something to really think about. When I was going down a rabbit hole about this, y'all, I was just thinking about everything, how I've grown in my space from me stepping into my isolation, taking this journey to be a very best version of myself. Like, you got to make that decision. Because there's been plenty of times I was like, Lord, this is it for me? This can't be it for me. This can't be. I got too much ambition and too much fire burning in me to do so much more than what the parameters are shown. There's got to be something beyond this gate. Got to be. Am I the only one who ever thought so much that you got to a wall and you couldn't think no more? I used to do that a lot. I don't know about nobody else, but hey, I've done that a lot. But one thing we have to realize, though, guys, isolation is needed for a lot of people. A lot of people fear themselves. That's why their self-accountability is right. Yes. People do not want to take accountability for their actions. Nobody wants to look at themselves in the mirror. That's why isolation is like a foreign language to a lot of people. Like, yes, that's why you see people jump from like relationship to relationship. Never take time in between healing or just, they don't take that isolation time when they come out of a traumatic situation. And that's how, that's how a lot of people work. That's how a lot of people operate. But awareness feels like loneliness. When you're aware of everything going on, you're aware of the things that toxic environments, toxic people, you're aware of the negativity when people trying to play with you, you're aware of everything you see, and you're even aware of your own flaws and insecurities, the things that you need to improve in yourself. The shrinking, the things that you don't like, you just go along and get along, stuff like that. That's what isolation brings out, and you have to face yourself. That's the only way you can elevate and really just continue to grow to the next level, to get more luxurious things that you want in life. Because everybody always wants a better job, a better living situation, want their life to improve financially. But you have to improve yourself infrastructure-wise first, spiritually, mentally, emotionally first, and everything else will come. Because God said we attract money, we attract opportunities. We shall do greater things. So with that being said, we got to understand it's our mindset. We have to change our mindset. It ends up hurting the most. How can you be the best versions if you aren't taking care of you? Right, exactly. That's what I always ask people. I said, how can you say you love God if you don't love yourself? How can you say you trust God if you don't trust yourself? I don't see how we cannot elevate in life. God blew his breath in us. We can't breathe without him. We're made in his image, so we can't exist without him. So what make us think we could think and make decisions without him? That's just me going down the rabbit hole, y'all. That's just my thoughts. Like, for real. That we can't trust ourselves. God looked at us and said, hey, this is your likeness of darkness. He looked at us and said, when they created us, and said, we're good. So even your flaws and your insecurities, even the darkness of yourself you don't like, you have to accept yourself as a whole. You have to own it. Own your past. Own the things you did. Own the things that you don't like. Own the things you fall short in. Because how can you say you him or you her? You can't even own your flaws. He gave you those for a reason. So that means there's another perspective to your flaws. You can get in your isolation. You can work yourself. You can put in the time. And you can mold those into better attributes. Because when you get in this isolation, God is going to require your weaknesses. He's going to require all of you. Even the areas that's not even developed yet. You're just going to go through it working on yourself. This is how it goes. You have to trust him. He has never taken us through things. It's what he is taking us to. Yes, you're right. Because everything we go through, God turns around for our good. So these are character building exercises. That's what I call them. Character building exercises. When you go through traumatic events in life, those are character building exercises. But you have to take accountability for your part that you played in it. You allowed it to happen. You came into agreement with it. You put yourself in that situation. Because we all tend to move without God giving us the okay. We all tend to do that. We ignore red flags. We run straight through them. But we're going to talk about awareness. Awareness feels like loneliness. Because awareness brings peace and it's disguised as loneliness. But you have to make sure that you understand that. Because, like I said, when you're in a toxic environment, you normalize chaos. That's what you're normally around. Something always happens. You always got to be on guard. Free will we all take for granted, which was actually given to us to keep us close to him. Exactly. Yes, we all have free will to make a decision. But he just wants us to trust him with everything. That's what he wants us to do. Everything. Everything from the top to the bottom. All of your interests, all of your desires, the thing that pains you, the things that irritate you. God wants us to trust him with all of that. So we were talking about awareness, yes. Yes, awareness is going to bring peace, and it's going to be disguised as loneliness when you first get in your isolation because toxic environments normalize chaos. You used to environments where you always got to keep your guard up. You always got to be, you know what I'm saying? You got to protect yourself. You're in survival mode. So once you first got to relax and take that guard down and turn that alarm system off, you're not really going to know how it feels. Because when chaos leaves, silence enters, it feels strange. Because that's when silence and peace enters. When you remove yourself out of those toxic environments while you're in your isolation, when you decide to do that, you're going to move into a more peaceful environment, whatever it is, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's working out, whether it's painting, whether it's going to sips and strokes, whether it's, you know what I'm saying, at the house listening to music or cleaning up your house or cooking, playing the game, whatever it is, whatever your hobby is, you're going to find peace in that, because it's going to be you and your thoughts and God. That's it. And you can't turn your brain off. You got to go through it. You have to. Because that's why it feels like loneliness. Because when chaos leaves, like I said, it feels strange. Peace feels strange because you've never had, you've been in survival mode, and what you thought, what you identified as peace growing up through society and religion and your home, and you had a different category. Everybody has a different peace. Everything knows what peace is different in their home and between families. What peace is categorized as, just like love is categorized, it's different depending on your family. Good. At bad times, we seek Him the most and praise Him during the most time. Yes, we definitely do. Yes. We definitely have to praise Him through the hard times and praise Him through the good times. You got to talk to Him. You don't have to pray and be begging, Lord, please. You ain't got to do all that. Just be like, Lord, I don't know what to do right here. Help me get through this. Like, right meets you right. Constructs. Yes, we have those constructs and they're categorized. So when you think it's peace, then you finally remove yourself from the chaos of what you thought peace was, and you experience the real peace on your isolation. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel different. It's not going to feel comfortable. It's going to feel like, what is this? But that's that peace that comes after chaos is left, after you remove yourself out of those environments. Because think about it. People confuse peace, quiet, and stillness with loneliness. You hear people say, you boring. When people are more peaceful, people like chaos. People like something going on. They like to be going. Like they be going. A lot of people don't know how to sit still. That's why I said peace, quiet, and stillness is categorized as loneliness. When you make that decision, like I said, it's not a feeling when you're ready. You're ready when you make that decision. So when you make that decision to step, my live freezing? Is it? Is it still freezing now, y'all? Y'all let me know if my live freezing, y'all. Put it in the chat if my live freezing. Put it in the chat. Okay, we're going to keep on rolling. People confuse happiness and peace. And when happiness isn't there, they have no peace emotions. Right. Like, and it's a difference. Like, peace, happiness comes and goes. All emotions come and go. The only emotion that stays that you can control is your peace. That's the only thing you can control. Peace and love, those are things that you can control. But happiness, all of those things, your emotions are going to be up and down. You're not going to feel your best all the time. You're not going to be in that mood all the time. You're not going to be that same level of emotion every time. It flows. Feminine energy flows. Everybody who has emotions, it flows. So you're not going to be your best all the time. You might not feel your best, but you're going to get up and you're going to prepare yourself and carry yourself like you are. That's what we're supposed to do. But like I said, when the chaos removes out of your life and you step into your isolation, all that is, I had wrote down a note about that, y'all. It's like your nervous system is detoxing. It's detoxing from all the loud noise on the outside. It's detoxing from everything. All you're doing now is your nervous system is learn how to relax. Your nervous system is on 10. All those traumatic experiences you've been through, yes, emotional stability is important. Having emotional intelligence is important. Yes, emotional stability and emotional intelligence is important. Yes, you have to be able to do that. And so you develop, like I said, that's even when you're in your isolation also. So you're learning how to be emotionally stable, mentally stable, spiritually stable in that isolation, and emotionally intelligent, mentally, you're starting to really think and see things, use your discernment. So you're really seeing things for what they are now. You're not being fooled and you're not deceived because you're gaining wisdom. And also you're just learning yourself you're learning who you really are, not just off of the things that you picked up along the way and you categorize them as your identity. That's even the things that you feel like you should tolerate. Because if you grew up around something that's been any type of abuse, you're going to feel like, okay, that's normal. But when you finally get to that peace in the isolation, you'll be like, hold on. Okay, this is peace right here. This is what this is. Okay. It feels different. It feels uncomfortable, but hey, It's all right. We're going to keep on pushing through. Because it's not an easy journey, guys. It's definitely not an easy journey. Like, it definitely takes discipline. It takes discipline, and you having to learn yourself all over. Well, you're really not learning. So you're remembering who you are. Like I said, the title is Isolation, when you remember who you are. You're remembering what you should tolerate, how you should love yourself, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. That's the whole point. Precisely. Anything you have to compromise your peace with is self-betrayal. Yes, I'm sorry. That, to me, thank you, Michi. I feel like that is like the worst sin we could ever commit. It's self-betrayal. And I think a lot of us have lived in that space, and a lot of us have come out of it. A lot of us in the process of coming out of it. A lot of people are still lost in it, and they just don't realize it. But that's like the worst of the worst. Because for one, God said we should do greater things. He didn't tell you to be no minion. He didn't tell you to be no follower. He didn't tell you to be no blockhead. He said we should do greater things. That means you should be able to think for yourself. Everybody is made in His image, so everybody has the same will and sheer power to be the best version of themselves. Everybody has the same opportunity spiritually to be a better version of themselves, no matter what the world say, no matter what society say. You can't look at that. I don't even look at the news no more. Man, listen. Everything is depressing. So what else do we have to hold on to this world? What else do we have to hold on in this world? Right, meet you correct. I am. Right. What do we have left to hold on into this world besides our faith? If you don't love yourself enough, you'll get swept away in this world. So you should start loving yourself. Pray for wisdom. Pray for discernment. Get the people from around you, because some people can hinder you from growing. I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, but isolation doesn't mean that anything horrible. That means that you're choosing to do better for yourself. That means you see the world in a different perspective now. The family visits seem different. Certain friends you hung around, it's not the same anymore. But it's not that you feel like you're better. It just feels, you just know that you see life in a different perspective. Your frequency has changed. You raised your frequency. Seek God first. All else helps will come. Yes. Y'all know that's my favorite phrase right there. Seek ye the kingdom of God. Yes. In everything, seek ye the kingdom of God first. Yes. You are the most important masterpiece. Yes. Like I said on my reel yesterday, guys, the most important vowels in this world is I and you. I and you. Those are the most important vowels, because you are able to do it. I am that I am, and you are able to do it. You have to do it. Can't nobody do it for you. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's not. So you have to stand 10 toes and stand on business about loving yourself, about caring for yourself, about the things that you need to do to elevate yourself, to be a better mother, a better father, a better sister, brother, sibling, whatever. Like, you have to be the very best version of yourself, because we have our kids watching us. Right. It's oneness. You have to be one with God. That's that alignment. So when you're going through your isolation, that's stepping into your alignment, really. That's your decision to be aligned. And it's hard. That's that Christ consciousness. Right, Michi? That's Christ consciousness. When you're lined up with Him. That's why they took Him to Calvary. If don't nobody know. Good morning, wake up. I'm going to be the espresso shot today, y'all. They don't want you to tap into that Christ consciousness. That's what He was preaching. That's exactly what He was preaching. Tap into your Christ consciousness. One. That's why He said we shall do greater things. Think about it when Peter walked off the boat. He said, if you are who you say you are, let me come off the boat to you. And He walked on water, right? Everybody remember that story, right? That's what He said. As He is, so are we. Yes. He said that in the Bible. Yes, Michi. That's what He said. As He, so are we. That's how Peter got off the boat and walked on water to Him. If we tap into and stay focused on God, man, we can do anything. Any obstacle our path will move out the way. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. I'm telling y'all, man, listen. If you want to tap into a version of yourself where you can really put yourself in a position where you can put your kids in a better position and you can show up for them every way, no matter what's going on in life, man, Get in isolation and pay attention to your kids. Pay attention to yourself and grow. Yes, please tap the screen, like the live, and share with your friends, please. Y'all tap on the screen. I appreciate all the love. Keep tapping the screen so I can remain in y'all algorithm on TikTok, Facebook Live. What's up? Where the love at? Y'all tap in. What y'all doing? What y'all doing? But yes, going through your isolation is a nervous system detox. It's to gain a different perspective because you can't think and you can't heal in the loud noise, in the toxic environment, and chaos. You can't. You got to sit with yourself to understand yourself, your darknesses, to understand your strengths, to understand what you need to do to align with God. Like you said, seek ye the kingdom of God first, and everything else will fall in place. We're not supposed to chase opportunities. We're not supposed to chase money. We're supposed to attract money. We're supposed to attract opportunities. Money is a frequency. Opportunity is a frequency. Everything you need is not on the outside. It's not in the world. It's not on social media. It's already within you. But when you wake up and realize that, that's when things get better. I promise. We all need to take time to unplug from everything in the world and just take time to, like I said, sit outside and listen to the wind blow. Listen to the trees move. Listen to the leaves ruffle. Understand the simplification and the simplified motions of life. Man, that's the most important thing we can have. And you start to appreciate that more, like I said. When you step away and you unplug from all the chaos and the ruckus and you sit still and you get to learn yourself and get to a level that's when you have an unleveled amount of joy and a unleveled amount of peace, where it's unleveled, like it's just infinite, where nothing can bother you. You just stand focused on whatever you got going on with your purpose, everything in life. When you get to that place, that's when God is going to reveal you your purpose, what he has for you to do in life. Because a lot of times we pick up titles because it's hot. It's the thing that's going to help us survive. And that's true. It's not a bad thing. But shoot, God been tapped into your purpose and how you doing something totally different you thought you would ever be doing. Self-awareness and introspection. Yes. You become more self-aware and you're introspective when you're in isolation. That's where I meet you. Y'all cutting up on TikTok Live over here, man. Where y'all at, Facebook? Let's chop it up, man. Episode 53. Isolation is where you remember yourself. Isolation is where you remember yourself. We're going to talk about this nervous system reset when you go in isolation, because that's what your nervous system is doing, is resetting. So this is where you're going deep into your personal experience. You learn how to process trauma, understand why certain relationships had happened. Like you learn to put pieces to the puzzle because you're working on yourself. So you seeing now, you're discernment, you're waking up and you're paying attention. Everything you saw in those toxic situations is going to have a totally different meaning when you wake up in your discernment. So now it's going to look like a piece of the puzzle, and you putting the pieces of the puzzle to your life together. When you go through this point in life, when you're going through you process the trauma, understanding why some relationships didn't have, and you're identifying patterns in yourself. You're identifying their patterns, and you're identifying patterns in yourself. It's not just who you're in a relationship with. You start understanding parents, siblings, kids, while you're at work, who your friends, who not. It's everything. When you become introspective, and you wake up, then that's when you start analyzing everything in your environment that's conducive. Either it's conducive to help you grow or it's hindering you. So you start labeling, okay, no. That's why I say you have to label your darkness. You have to put a name on it. What's your weaknesses? What you know you can't be around that's going to make you fall, or if you're not strong enough to handle that. What you need to keep yourself from doing. What do you need to do? Those are boundaries, and you setting those boundaries and realizing what your darkness consists of. That's what it's always about. This is the Great Awakening, age of enlightenment. Nothing is hidden. Right. This is the Great Awakening. This is. You see a lot of information, a lot of enlightenment, a lot of people waking up. Y'all see what's going on. I don't want to say nothing. Y'all see what's going on. But this is the age. And the only thing that's going to save us is that we seek ye the kingdom of God and get into alignment. And understand ourselves more. That's the only thing. Because you can't worry about things. Man, listen. Everything fake. Everything fake. Right. Looking in that mirror. Yes. Once you put these glasses on to see things for what they are and you can't be fooled anymore, you cannot take them off. You can't. You see everything in life. Everybody in your life that's in your circle. You see what they are, what they not. And it's up to you to either see what God's showing you or hear what they're showing you or come into agreement with what God said about you and what your life is to be. Or you want to continue to go through the loop of the same toxic situations and chaos you've been experiencing. Man, you got to make a decision. And that's going to determine whether you're ready or not. When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's when you make that decision. I'm telling you. When we just said come into agreement with what God said about you. Yes. When you come into agreement with what God said about you, you're going to realize that everything is in you. You can't fail. Because he said we can't fail. Who said we can fail? Just because a plan that you put together and a job you put in for, or a school you wanted to do, or a pair of shoes you wanted to buy, or a car you wanted to buy you didn't get, or all of this stuff, a lot of this stuff is redirection. It's not failure. It's not losses. It's lessons and blessings. That's all it is. Lessons and blessings. It's no losses because you're not losing. You're still going to win because you learned a lesson from it. So you're gaining wisdom and knowledge. So that's still a W. But it depends on how you look at life. Either the cup full, or half empty. That's how you look at it. Exactly, because the enemy doesn't lie to you. He tries to rewrite your program for you. Right, yes. Man, listen. I'm telling you, listen. Everything good come to you ain't from God. You got to know that. You got to understand that. You definitely got to understand that. Because a lot of times we be on our journey, you meet people trying to be nice to you. You be like, hey, they just trying to get close to you. Light attract flies and mosquitoes. Remember that. Light attract flies and mosquitoes. It does. Like, you got to understand that. Some things, when you're in your isolation, anything that's not conducive to your growth is a distraction. That's work, school, kids, parents, friends, whomever. Everything is a distraction. Because when God tells you to get in your isolation, you're getting your total existence and your complete attention. Your complete attention. You giving your total existence and your complete existence in isolation. I'm telling you, I'm not finna lie. I'm gonna tell you the truth straight up. Proximity to abundance. Yes. When God say, I need you right here, right now, everything else is fake. You like, what? Everything else is fake. What? You can't take that with you. Okay, yes, sir. Strip down. Hey, take everything off. Exactly. Deeper than temptation, it's about transformation. Yes. You got to understand. Temptation isn't just sexual. Temptation can be anything you eat to, whether it's gambling, whether if you free from having a drinking issue and you trying to go sober, whatever it is, anything that tempts you to backslide on anything that you're weak, or it is part of your weakness, that's distractions. Anything that's not conducive to your growth, anything that's not helping you. Because you got to evaluate in two things in your life. If it's helping me grow or it's slowing me down. And if it's not, if you can't even answer the question, it's slowing you down. I'm just being honest. That's just real rap raw. And what Kevin Hart said, real rap raw. But silence is going to feel funny, y'all. It is. Like I said, you're going to examine your process. You're going to examine your trauma. You're going to understand why things happen. You're going to identify patterns in yourself and the situation. When can you really hear your note? Like, when you're around a loud noise, you can't really think clearly because there's so much stuff going on around you. You got to take time to think. You got to take time to sit with yourself. You got to take time to bring all your personalities to the meeting. Hey, we're having a board meeting. All right, so what's the goals? We're not doing the same thing every year. We need to be doing something better, no matter what part of life it is. I don't care if you upgraded toothpaste 3 years in a row. Hey, that's an upgrade. It's levels to this. It's levels. You upgraded your garage door, okay? Hey, levels. You upgraded your stove. Any plan you put together to put yourself in a better version of yourself, that's an upgrade. Anything that you're improving in your life. Yes, speak same as perversion doesn't mean sexual, means anything that get you thinking less of. Right. Exactly, Miss Self-Made Blueprint. Yes, that's true. Yes. That's what that is. Yeah. You hit that one on the head right there. Yeah. Temptation is not always about sex. That's what she's saying. It's not always about sex. Temptation can be about drugs, alcohol, money, love bombing, family gaslighting. You know what I'm saying? People trying to live off you. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. All that stuff, those are distractions. Like, you got to think about that, man. Like, Anything could be a distraction. Even somebody that don't like you and they trying to get you to act up. That's a distraction. Haters are distractions too. Because kings don't entertain peasants. I'm just saying. Then they say elephants don't swat at flies. Alright, we need to take the elephant notion on that. Don't be swatting at no flies now. Because you see what happened to Peter when he took his eyes off of God. He almost drowned. I don't think I was on live, y'all. He almost drowned. Peter took his eyes off God and boy almost went to the bottom of the sea. Listen, you blink one time, it might cost you. Hey, you blink one time, you take your eyes off the prize one time, it may cost you. It may cost you for real. That's how serious it is. Like, you can't be playing with your life like that. And you realize that when you wake up, you realize that, man, we were playing with our life the whole time. The whole time. The whole time. And you realize that that's when you have to take that self-accountability in isolation. And you realize, you be like, dang, I was playing with my life. Dang, I was goofy. What was I doing? Lord, why? You can't ask, Lord, I got to ask yourself why. You didn't listen. Man, listen. We put ourselves in a lot of situations, though, too. A lot of trauma we kind of inflict on ourselves because the decisions we made, knowing God, we had that feeling like, I don't know about that. But then we be like, it's okay, it's okay. It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. We got it. And then what happened? Then now we looking sad. We sliding down the wall like Mary J. Blige. I'm going down. Doom, 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 doom. I'm just having a moment, y'all. Y'all vibe with me, though. Y'all vibe with me. But yeah, when you're always around noise, you can't hear your thoughts clearly. You can't. Silence gives your mind time to reflect, process, and heal. You're going to reflect on the things you've been through in the past. You're going to reflect on the process of what you need to focus on in order to heal from it. The steps you need to take to get to the place where you can heal from it. So that's what the process is for. So you're going to reflect, you're going to process, and you're going to heal. Those are three things that you're really going to do majority going through that isolation. Unless you're crying or something that, the emotions going to be high though. So you might, you might drop a few. Just to be honest, you might drop a few. You be like, dang, bro, I've been through a lot for real. And you be like, man, I can't put myself back through stuff like that no more. So that's when you're going to make that change. Like I said, whether it's friends, family, relationships, marriage, whatever it was, like, you got to want to do better. You got to want better for yourself. Nobody's going to want better for you. Nobody's going to believe in you. You got to want that and believe in that for yourself. That's very important. This is one of the deepest concepts that I had wrote down, y'all. I wrote this concept down because I was thinking about it. And so we say, I'm becoming a new person. But really, honestly, you just remember who you were. Because pain is the catalyst for change. When we go through pain, we want to change a lot of things in our life, right? But it's really, pain is the catalyst for remembering, for memory. Because you do better because you remember, hey, why did I even put myself through that? You're like, man, now that I think about it, you see what I'm saying? You wake up because you be hypnotized. Then you realize you put yourself in a situation there was no need to put yourself into, no matter what it was. Whether it was a bad business opportunity, a bad relationship, a bad deal, whatever it was. You realize, like, why did I even much trust that? That situation was sketchy anyway. I just ignored the red flags. And that's when you really think about situations like that. You think about everything that you did wrong, everything that you've been through, man, from childhood all the way up. And you really analyze it, and your nervous system has to heal from all of that. It's not just what you went through recently. It's what you've been through everything that's been going on in your life from the beginning of your existence. That's what you're healing from, everything. Not just certain sections, everything. And that's a lot to take in at one time because it's coming. And you got to process and process and process. Yeah. And the thing about it, it's not even going to say that it's isolation is just the introduction to the journey of tapping into your Christ consciousness. That's what it is. That's what it should do. It should elevate you, help you elevate your mind spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. You should elevate on all levels. That's what it's supposed to be for. That's what it's supposed to be for. And that's when you become the better version of yourself, and you're removing things out your life that's not conducive to whatever God got you on a path to go to, whatever your purpose is. So you're not, like I said, you're not becoming a new person. You just remember who you are, who God already put in you. Like I said before at the beginning of this live, God hasn't put, everything you need is in you. He's put everything in you. There's nothing external that you need to validate who you are. There's material things, that's titles, that's whatever it is. Who you are is who you are. And everything you need to be is going to line up perfectly with your purpose. But you have to get into the higher contact with your higher self first. Growth is often removal, not addition. Like I said, growth is often removal, not addition. Because when you're growing, you're stripping off everything. Everything. God is stripping everything. Like I said, the social constructs, the religious constructs, the emotional constructs, the everything from the environment. And it's not just physical. He's stripping things away from you spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Also the thought process you had. You're changing your whole mindset. That's what isolation does. Because you remove the trauma responses, the things that triggered you. Everybody know we all have our triggers when we're working on ourselves, and the things that trigger us, whether it's a smell, a sound, something somebody might say, or it might be a object that reminds you of your past, whatever it is, whatever triggers you, you're going to go through those trauma responses. You're going to have, you're removing limiting beliefs. You're removing your limited beliefs. Because you feel like, oh, I can only do this. No, you changing everything. You want to have more confidence in yourself. You're going to love yourself. You're going to feel like you're going to accomplish anything. That's what that is. I feel that's that shrinking that's being removed. That limiting beliefs, toxic environments. Like I said, chaos. You want to be in a more peaceful environment. External expectations. You're not going to expect anything from anybody on all levels. Spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. You're not going to expect it. Because you've already been through trauma with expected things from people, and you've always been let down. That's why God said, put your trust in him and not man. Man is always going to let you down. We definitely have to put our trust and our faith in him no matter what. That's another thing too. We do have high expectations and high hopes for people we be letting in our life. Man, listen, we used to have so many high hopes for people, and they let us down. Like I said, you had your best friend dipped on you. You know what I'm saying? People you close with, you ain't close with them no more. Like, you know, you go through a lot of tragic situations. Like, they thought y'all would be friends forever, but that ain't how it go. That ain't how life moves. You was expecting it to look like this, but it ended up looking like this. You was fooled to think, because you was blinded to see that y'all relationship was like this, but it's really like this. And that's, like I said, that's all across the board also. You realize that a lot of people don't like you for real. You just realize a lot of people don't like you for real. It's all about what you can do for them. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. It's all about what you can do for them. And like I said, it's energy vampires out here, y'all. A lot of people just want to be around just to suck your energy up. That's not everybody. That's just some people. That's just how it is. Like I said, and the ones that you love the most are the ones that hurt you the most. So you have to understand in retrospect, okay, this is what I need to do. I can't be so trusting. I can't be so, you know what I'm saying, open. You got to put boundaries up there. You got to have boundaries. You got to. You got to. But yes, that's when your true self becomes visible again. When you address all of those trauma responses and address all things that hurt you in the past, you heal from a lot of things. That's when your true self is going to come visible again. And you really see who you are. You be like, why did I deal with this? Why did I deal with that? Why did I trust that? Why did I trust this? So you looking at your whole life and you just looking at it like, dang, I was playing with my life. Like I said, you playing with your life when you think about it, when you're moving without God giving you direction. We just moving. God ain't say move. But we don't understand that. Like I said, that's why we need to see God first. Everything else in our life will fall in place. Tap into your Christ conscious. Tap into it. Take isolation. Take a break. Unplug. Get to yourself and love yourself and learn yourself and understand like, dang, I would never put up with that. You know, that's why you like to see a lot of older people that be like, hey, if I knew then what I knew now, that's what they saying. And they realize, okay, But it's all in growth, though. It's all in growth, though. This is another thing I was going down a rabbit hole about, y'all. This segment 5 right here, y'all, I had typed up. Well, I already took notes on it. Some people grow you, not with you. A lot of times we experience people and we expect it to be a certain relationship with them, a certain connection with them. And a lot of times we are supposed to observe and not absorb situations and experiences. That's our biggest downfall, because we absorb something. Some people aren't meant for us to date. Some people aren't meant for us to be friends. Some people aren't meant for us to keep a connection with. Some people are meant to do what God brought them in your life for. Lessons and blessings, long-term or short-term. Some people don't come in your life for a long time. But while you're in connection with that person, learn something. Anybody you come in connection with, you're supposed to be learning something from them anyway. No matter who it is, you're supposed to learn something. Because what you think, when you're friends, you have to pour into each other as friends, right? So when you pour into other friends, like, it can't be one-sided. You have to pour into each other. It can't, you're supposed to learn from each other. That's the whole point of meeting people, is you're learning, you're growing. Situations, what's the silver lining in the situation? Even though it went bad, what's the silver lining? What's the lesson? I need to learn myself more. I need to love myself more. I need to trust God more. It's a lot of things that I need to do that I haven't done, that I didn't think, you just be like, okay, you be cool off that dopamine rush, and you just be like, okay, cool, it's lit, let's go. But you're not looking at the whole situation. A lot of things aren't meant to dwell around, or like I said, absorb. Let's just observe and keep going. The thing that falls in place on this journey, the thing that really falls in place, is when people come in your life, they're supposed to teach you lessons. They expose wounds, and they reveal patterns. All those toxic situations. I'm gonna tell you what, like I said, I wrote down, they teach lessons, they expose wounds, and they reveal patterns. You learn what life is about. You learn what to look for. You don't know what a narcissistic person like until you experience one on all levels. If you never experienced one, you don't know what to look for. So that right there, that taught you a lesson. It exposed wounds, and it revealed patterns. Those 3 things in every situation. That's what it does. Some people in your life to do those 3 things. And a lot of times we get that confused because they're not meant to walk the whole journey with us. They're not. That's what some people are brought in your life for. Everything happens for a reason. Nothing is just by chance. Oh, I just so happened to get this job, and they promised me all of this, and I got my heart broke because I was expecting so much, but I wasn't. Or I got in this relationship and I was expecting it to be like this, but it didn't really get like this. It was never meant to happen like that. A lot of times, like I said, we get so caught up in experiences due to absorbing it. Not seeing it for what it is. Expecting too much. We expect too much. If God ain't said it, ain't solid no way. That's just being real. That's what I've realized in my life, going through my isolation. If God ain't said it, it wasn't solid. If God ain't in it, it ain't solid. If he ain't told you to do it, it ain't solid. It's not. And that's when you go through that patterns of going through the same thing, where you may go through a situation, you see the same situation again, maybe a different person, maybe a different job. But I went through that same thing in my last job. It's the same thing again. That means you didn't learn your lesson. That means you got to learn a lesson that you didn't learn from it, and you got to apply to your life and take accountability for your part that you played in it and move different, or whatever the lesson is that you for to learn, no matter what situation it is. Some relationships are assignments, not alignments. Some people you meet, it's assignments, not alignments. Everybody you meet in your life has been an assignment. You're supposed to learn something from everybody you came in contact with from the day you were a little kid going through school all the way through. Everybody who interacted with you, your life lined up perfectly the way it's supposed to go. But the people that come in your life, you're going to have to understand that sometimes people come in your life for assignments. You may be with somebody in your life for a certain point. Boom. Okay. Now it's time for you to walk and do what you got to do. Improve yourself. And normally, when you stay too long or you get through situations, it's not always a good thing. It's not. The situations don't be a good thing. But when you think about it, when you really take time to really analyze yourself in that space and you look at it, we overplayed our part in a lot of situations. We put too much into it. Oh, we put too much into it. We really did. And you look at yourself. You take time to look at yourself and think about your life and think about how God has blessed you to elevate you, and you've ascended from those dark spaces, and you look at it like, dang, I can't blame nobody for my life but me. I can't control what people do, but I can control what I do or what I allow in my life. So that means that I have to take accountability for the things that I allow myself to go through. The people I allowed to play with my face. People I allowed to play with my heart. We all have to look at ourselves in the mirror one day and recognize that. You can't keep saying that person hurt you forever. You can't. Because even if it was a messed up situation. But did you learn what you need to learn from it? Love yourself more. You choose them, they choose them. You choose them, and they choose them. You overplay your part. People pleasing. Just because you love them, I mean you got to go all out the way for them. Some stuff ain't necessary. You can't treat everybody the same. You can't love everybody the same because a lot of people don't deserve that. Don't deserve that. You can't do that. You put yourself in messed up situations doing that. And we all need to realize that. Like I said, family, friends, co-workers, best friends, significant other, kids, job. Like, it don't even much matter. It applies to humanity, period. It applies to humanity, period. And we have to realize that. It's so important that we look at ourselves in the mirror and correct the things. Like I said, we got kids watching us. So I want to make sure I give them the best advice I can. If I'm not mentally, spiritually, and emotionally grounded, how can I ensure that my kids are mentally, spiritually, and emotionally grounded coming up in this cold, cold world? Yes, it's about me, but it's about them too. Me being my best self is going to pour into them, and they're going to be their best self. You know? Just a thought. This is how I look at it with me being a father, 2 handsome boys and very intelligent kids. And I thank God for them. They definitely bring out the best in me. And I pray that y'all kids bring out the best in y'all. Man, listen. You don't want to disappoint those smiles on their faces. You don't. I'll never let nothing or anything of my anger or my ego or anything get in between me being the very best version of myself for my boys. And we should think about our life like that. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. I'm going to always be my best version of myself for myself, but also I have to know that this is what's pouring over into them, and I can do what I need to do. What up, Al? We serious over here, big dog. We serious over here right now, big dog. Don't worry, I'm going to crack on you and your them crystal lips later. But the thing, like I said, we got to remember, you're not searching. You're going. You're not looking for anything. You're just sitting with yourself in isolation, and you're growing, and you're listening to God more, and you put your best foot forward to being the very best version of yourself. You're not searching for anything. Like I said, we don't chase opportunities. We don't chase money. Opportunity and money is a frequency. If God put everything in you, if you tap into what God put in you, it's going to come automatically. It's going to come automatically. It's going to come. But you, like I said, like I always been saying since day one, you got to seek ye the kingdom of God first. Before you can tap into your wisdom and alignment with God and tap into your higher Christ conscience, man, you got to get in alignment. You got to address yourself. You got to look at yourself and be like, You can be hard on yourself, but don't be too hard when you ain't confident in yourself. Because if you're not confident in yourself, nobody else will be confident in you. Isolation really helps refine your standards. That's what isolation does. It's refining you. Think about a caterpillar when it goes in a cocoon. That's the caterpillar's isolation. And it goes through the most painful process in its life. Then it comes out when the season is over with, and it's the most beautiful butterfly, right? That's how our life is. That's how you have to look at your life. That's how isolation is. You have to go through something in order to get to something. Everything that's meant for your bad is always going to be meant for your good. But you have to, like I said, you have to find that silver lining. You have to understand. You got to look at life, the cup half full and not half empty. It's very important. Refinement comes after you remember who you are. Once you get to the point to where you're in your journey and you understand the assignment, you understand, okay, I take accountability for everything. So what do I do need to heal? And you go through your process and you heal from those things. Then you're going to step into the process of refinement. You start refining. You understand who you are. You're confident in yourself. You love yourself. Nothing can throw you off. Nothing can throw you off. That's when you go into your refinement stage. And that's when God is taking you through a tough time, but the tough times ain't even putting a blemish on you. Refinement. You go through that fire and you come out shining. You don't even look burned. You look refined. Think about that. When they put metal or they put gold in the iron, they bend it and beat it, and they beat it to get it right. They had to get to a certain temperature. And it's boiling and it's scalding and it's just pulling back layers. And you think you're going to come out looking ugly. Then God pull you out the oven and you see it shining. It's crazy. You look at life different. You love yourself more. Everything. You see the beautiful in everything. You're not paying attention to toxic environments. You protect your peace. You got your boundaries. Man, that's the refinement stage. When nothing in this world can bother you and you can walk through life, those bad, rough situations, whether it's baby mama, baby daddy, ex-wife, ex-husband, family drama, I ain't cool with my cousin or beefing with your friend. No matter what it is, no matter what, you're going to have a peaceful mindset. You're going to flow. Like Bruce Lee said, you're going to be like water. You just going to flow. You're going to flow like water. Nothing's not going to bother you. Money ain't right, that ain't going to bother you. Car start acting up, that ain't going to bother you. Parents get on your nerve, that ain't gonna bother you. Get into it with your coworker, that ain't gonna bother you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it don't even much matter. Kids wanna act correct, that ain't gonna bother you. You just gonna be like, Lord, I trust you in every situation. Let me just keep going. I ain't gonna get off my pivot. Because like I said, distractions. When you're in your isolation, you're to yourself and things always seem to come to you and they come to bother you, man. Isolation. Those are distractions that's coming to throw you off your pivot. So always remember that. A lot of times, you gotta have no reason. All goodness has an enemy. Remember that. Goodness has an enemy. What he said in the Bible, every time I wanted to do right, evil was always present, right? Let's go deeper. Every time you make a positive and a conscious decision to do a good thing, walking in the right direction, you're gonna have a positive negative connotation that comes behind every situation you make. I don't look at it as bad decisions. I look at it as you outweighed your options. You didn't weigh it out correctly. It was a decision, but hey, you didn't weigh your options correctly. You weren't patient to see what was gonna happen. So you think about it. You're gonna have a positive connotation to come to anything that you do. You are, but you have to understand that. You got to be aware of that. That's where awareness comes from. That's why I said, pray for wisdom and pray for knowledge and pray for discernment. Ask God to not let you be fooled by nothing that's in front of you. That's the best thing we can ever ask for. That's in the Bible. Wisdom. That's better than asking for gold. Pray for wisdom. Pray for knowledge. Pray for discernment. That's the best thing we can ask for. Like I said, everything else is a frequency. You got to change your mindset first. Your mindset has to accept God. You have to be one with God. Understand who he told you are. You have to come into agreement with what he said about you. You have to. You have to understand, like, okay, I know, but let me fix this. Let me fix this. Seek improvement. I always seek improvement. I always seek knowledge. I always seek anything that you can do to better yourself, whether it's reading more books, whether it's listen to high vibration music, listen to jazz, R&B, whatever it is. If you're walking in the park, do something that's going to make you feel good. If you like to take your shoes off and step in the grass, I like the ground sometimes. I like to get in the grass and take my socks off. You'd rather do that and just chill. Sit in the grass in the front yard, let the wind blow. You know what I'm saying? Watch the kids play. You know, stuff like that that's gonna keep you grounded, man. Like the simplicities of life. The most simple things are the most beautiful things. Because it wasn't for the simple things, we weren't able to do the bigger things. But yes, once you remember who you are, the next phase is refinement. You're going to discern about boundaries. You're going to be more focused on your boundaries. You're going to not let nobody play in your face. You're going to be, hey, I ain't accepting that. No. You're going to be zero tolerance to BS. Your discernment, you're going to be able to discern what's in front of you. You're going to see toxic situations. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel the energy. You're going to see it before it even much come close to you. You're going to be like, oh, let me stay away from that. That energy ain't right or whatever. You're going to be more about protecting your peace. Everything's about protecting your peace. If anything is causing your peace, it is too expensive. If anything is bringing you stress, anxiety, it's causing your peace, too expensive. Pew! Out of there. 1 foot like Gumby. Out of there. Yes. That's how you need to protect your peace. You want to have more intentional relationships with your friends. You want to have more intentional relationships. You're going to be intentional when you talk to somebody, you befriend somebody, you're going to be intentional. And it's not going to be nothing more but what you are intentional about. And the relationships are going to be intentional. You're going to have people that's going to talk to you based off of their intentions. You guys are going to match. You want to reach that type of love, you got to raise your frequency to reach that type of love. That's when you encounter things, when you're better on yourself. That's when you meet people that's going to be with you on your journey along the way. Because everybody's not meant to carry you on your whole journey or be with you. Some people are meant 3/4 of the way, half a mile there. Some people are not. But we got to understand that. Because your growth is tied to how much work you rather do, shadow work within yourself, to address every little thing that's in your darkness that you need to understand. And why is your darkness? Why is this a generational curse? How can I fix this generational curse? How can I improve? Because we all breaking generational curses. Somebody was the first person that went to college in their family. Some people was the first one who's a millionaire in their family. The first one who's a billionaire in their family. The first music musician in their family. We're all breaking generational curses. We're all doing things. We're improving things that our parents couldn't address or grandparents didn't address, and you're having to face it. That's 2 years of generational curses you're carrying, and you're having to break that cycle. It may be marriages that fail. It may be broken homes. It may be college career, 6-figure job, owning a Fortune 500 company, something like that. It's so many different varieties, different perspectives and lanes of how life can improve for you. And you have to pay attention to every single one of them. You have to. And you realize the more, like I said, you realize the small things, the very, very tedious things that would cause the most damage. Yeah, I went down a rabbit hole bad about this. I went down a rabbit hole bad about this. Just reflecting on life and growth in the journey, how it's been. And I just wanted to bless y'all with this good old info. You know what I'm saying? Hey, anything can help with somebody coming with some genuine information to help you improve your journey. Guess what this for? We talk about uncomfortable conversations. Faith, love, and life. That's what this podcast is about. No toxicity, no chaos. We all about elevating. We all about being a better version of ourselves. We're gonna be accountable. We're gonna be accountable over here. We're gonna hold each other accountable. That's what it's all about. Like I said, you're gonna have your boundaries in line. You're gonna have your discernment in place. You're gonna be protecting your peace more. You're gonna have more intentional relationships, whether it's friends, whenever you meet colleagues. It's gonna be more of an intentional relationship. It's gonna be genuine. It's not gonna be any gaslighting and all of that, because you can raise your frequency from that frequency. So now you meet people who are also raising their frequency, and you're gonna encounter people who are on the same level you on. So if you're in a season of isolation right now, it's going to feel like you don't remember who you are. Don't ever think that you're falling apart. Just that those interests and things that God didn't give to you about your ideology of yourself is changing. You remember who you are, who God made you to be, and not who you thought you were growing up in this world from religious, social, and societal constructs. Because it's everything is happening for a reason. When you feel uncomfortable, You actually are healing in this process. When it gets hard, you recalibrate. Your interests are going to change. You're going to look at things different. You're going to see that it's more than just black and white. It's several different perspectives to a lot of things. So you're going to recalibrate, and you're going to remember who you are. Who God made you to be. Only you can know that. But you have to get in isolation and see God first to find out. That's the only way. I want to leave y'all with this. I want to leave y'all with this statement. This isolation didn't break me. It gave me the silence I needed to remember who I am. And we all need to remember that. When you're going through isolation, you're going to feel like it's breaking you. You're going to feel like I don't remember who I am. Oh, I don't even know what to do with myself. And through that healing and recalibration, the more you stick with it, the more you keep pushing, the more you keep going. No matter how hard it is, no matter how ugly it gets, keep going. And when you keep going, God is going to show you what he wants you to show you. And he's going to show you your journey. And it might look crazy to some people. It might look downright weird. But it's your journey. Your journey is for you to understand. It ain't meant for your friends, your significant other, your parents. It's not meant for anybody to understand. It's what God has, his relationship with you. And your relationship with you is your relationship with you. And if you know, you know. But I appreciate y'all tapping into episode 53. Hey, it was a very, very deep, loving episode. I loved it. Hey, it's very important that we get into isolation and improve ourselves, y'all. Life too short out here. Nothing is solid out here. Everything else is sinking sand. God is the only solid foundation we got, y'all. So get in isolation. Sit with yourself. Get to yourself. Meditate. Read a book. Turn on some soft music. Light some candles. Sit back and chill. And just talk to God. You ain't got to pray. You ain't be like, oh, Lord, you know my cry. You ain't got to do all that. Just get and be like, Lord, it's been rough. But I trust you and I'm going to keep on going. No matter what. You got to talk to him like I'm talking to y'all. That's what we got to do. But I appreciate y'all tapping in. Y'all check me out on all social media platforms. If you're new to my live, hey, go check out all my social media platforms. Catch up. See where I started to where it is now. Season 2, episode 53, Deeper Conversations. Hey, I appreciate all the love and the support. Hey, I'm going to holler at y'all later, all right? Y'all be safe out there. This thing having a hard time, y'all. Oh, okay, there you go. All right, Facebook Live. I'm holler at y'all.